Hi, Aruka. So I'm going to walk you through this Excel macro project. So I'm in my Connect program right now. So this should look similar to yours. We're looking for the week 11 due November 7th. Let's begin this one. And the only files you really need for this are the Excel macro dash XLMM underscore grades. So that's going to be the starter file for this project. And I'm going to call this, oops, Haruka. And then the assignment itself is part of the PDF. So if we open the PDF, we want to go all the way to the bottom of this. And I only ask that you answer this one question, and it's listed here. So this is the very last part of this PDF. So you're a teacher and you need to figure out the grades if you are given numbers. Okay, and it talks about it here where we're going to use the XLMM underscore grades dot XLSS and we're going to add in a let me get rid of this here. So we're going to add in the macro, which will calculate a score, and then that score will translate into a letter grade. So there's two ways to get to the VBA. You can right-click and go to View Code, or alternatively, you could press the Alt key and F11. And I'm going to choose to right-click, choose View Code, and this takes me to the VBA for applications. We want to insert a module. So now that we have a module, we don't need to do anything special with it at this point. We are simply going to start to create a function. So this is a user-defined function. And the way that we do this is we just type the word function. And that tells VBA that we're creating a function. We can call the function anything that we like. And I'm going to call this getGrade. Then the getGrade needs to get a variable. So the variable, which could be anything, I'm just going to call it score. And it needs to be defined as some sort of variable. And in this case, I'm going to call it a double, which means basically that it's going to be a number. So it's a certain type of number. Next, we're going to do a select case and use our variable. So a select case is just a type it's a way to be able to evaluate data. So selecting case score. Okay, so we're going to use a select case in this particular example, and we're going to evaluate the numbers that are going to get fed into this select program that we're building. So the first thing that we want to do is establish our first case, and that's going to be any score less than 65, and it's going to get a grade, and that's going to be an F. Whoops. Our second case is going to be a less than 70, because this is the grading scale that the professor gave to us. And if I type this in, this score is going to be a D. And next, we're going to choose all the scores that are less than 80. And in this situation, those grades are going to be C. The next case is going to be less than 90. And this time, those grades are going to be B. So notice that I'm putting the letter inside of double quotes there. This last one's a little bit tricky because it's going to be less than or equal to 100. And this grade is going to be an A. Now, I need to compile my program. And so when I go to debug and compile, it tells me that we have a select case without an end select. So we need to end the select statement here by typing end select. If we go back, we debug, we compile, and now we can see that our program works. So this is the name of our function. So I'm going to close the VBA, and I'm going to call the program now, and I'm going to type the equal sign and get G. So there's our program. I press the tab key, I click on cell B2, I close the function with a right parenthesis, and I press enter. And that means that that grade is going to get the letter A. Now, it looks like they're all going to be A's. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. I'm just going to give them a few other different sorts of scores, just so I have some different data. And now I'm going to carry this down by simply getting the tiny little plus sign there, double click it, and you can see that all of these entries now have a letter grade to the right of their numeric score. And if we were to change any of these, so let's make this one a 55, you can see that it automatically changes it automatically changes things. So what you can do is you can evaluate that, and I press the control key and the tilde key, and that shows me the function that I've placed within each one of those scores there. So there's a couple of things that we can do, Haruka, that is pretty important, I think. And let's go back to our function, which is here, module, and I want to add in a couple other cases. So case is less than 0. And this time, this is going to be a little bit different. So the get grade equals no scores below 0. And I'm going to do the same thing down here at the bottom. And I'm going to do a case is greater than 100. And this time, the grade is going to be no scores permitted above 100. And then I'm going to add one more case. So case else and get grade equals something happened, call IT support, or something like that. And all that means is that there's an error and it's undefined and we don't know how to deal with it. So we're going to compile this again, and this time we're going to go back, and I'm going to give myself a couple of negative scores. We'll see what that does. Let's give a score above 100 and see what happens. And so we're basically testing all of the different cases that we've created. And again, we've created a program, and it's called getGrade. And technically, It's a user-defined macro function, and that's a technical Excel term. So there you have it. I can get rid of that again, and I can save my work. Let's actually do it this way. So if I go to File, Save As, and I actually want to choose this to be a macro-enabled workbook, XLSM, and then when I send that to somebody, it will contain that macro as well. So to get this to upload into Connect, we're probably going to need to go back to wherever the file is at, and this time I think it was in the downloads, right there. And if I right-click and I choose Send to Compressed Zipped Folder, so now we have a different version of it that's called ends in .zip, which means that it's a compressed file. So here's the original file, and then here's the one that we just zipped or compressed. So hopefully that helps a bit for you, and let me know if you have questions on that. Thanks.